Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to cover the two series that took place in the LPL earlier today, as well as preview the two series that are going to take place tomorrow during the summer placements. First, we have OMG LNG predictions. I went 2-0 on the day once again. So, both games OMG got out to early leads but threw them. A very different series than the second one, a lot quicker laning phases. First game, nothing really happening in the laning phase in terms of plays. We saw OMG take all 6 grubs, but LNG secure the Rift Herald, LNG getting Drakes in the early game. Laning phase would end at 13:30, with Cuba had 400 gold, but down 11 CS. Tarzan had 22 CS, not Tarzan, Wei Wei over Zhao Feng. In the bot lane duo, Starry and PP God doing quite well into Gala Hung in this one. First game 1.3k gold lead and 23 CS, and then the second game 700 gold lead. So we saw that Starry did well in his first series as the full-time starter for OMG. LNG would take one Baron as they started to get the game going in their favor in the mid to late game, out macroing OMG, winning the team fights that were necessary. Like I said, the early game you have a bunch of zeros there, right? So not a lot of outnumbered situations in lane or invades into the jungle that really resulted in much. It was kind of just a very slow, boring series. So 1700 gold power play for LNG in game one, and they ended up winning off of that. Game two, a little more active. So OMG went mid lane and bot lane once each. I believe Zhao Feng was on Karthus in game two. And Wei Wei only went topside once. They would split grubs 3-3. LNG taking Rift Herald again, but Drakes were also pretty even at 2-3. So OMG in a good spot at about 13 minutes. 500 gold lead for Cube. Zhao Feng up 900. 700 for the bot lane of Starry and PP God. But Scout on the LeBlanc had 700 gold. And, sorry, not 700, 1200 gold. There's a big difference. And 25 CS. He'd have 2 solo kills in game 2, once during laning phase and then the other one in the mid to late game. Scout really taking over in that one and winning it for the team. It took 2 Barons to get it done, at a total 31-35 in gold. In terms of the totals of the series, only 2-1 in terms of plays, so not very active like I said. A 450 gold lead for both Cube and Zhao Feng over their counterparts. Scout 550, and Starry and PP God up 1500. And you may say, why aren't you mentioning the CS stats? Well, CS, although is a very consistent way to get gold, right? Everybody can get it, but gold in general is the indicator, right? So CS is only a part of that. If another team is able to get kills and get more gold, I mean, you can get all the CS you want, but if you're behind in gold, it doesn't make a damn difference. So in the end, gold is more important than the CS itself, but CS is a very consistent, easy way to get gold, if that makes sense, where you can do it by yourself. You don't need the other team necessarily to screw up for you to get gold or to be able to outplay, as long as you simply lane decently. Grubs 9-3 in favor of OMG, but LNG took both Drakes, both Rift Heralds. LNG 6 Drakes to 3. They also had all 3 Barons in this one, getting a total of 4,856 gold, which isn't a ton, right? So only 1,600 Barons on average for LNG, but that was enough to win. Scout 2 solo kills, 13, 3, and 17 with a team leading 29% of damage. Gala 10, 1, 19 had the best KDA. Zhao Feng 11, 9, and 7 with a monstrous 38% of damage for OMG in the jungle. He did play a Karthus game. I think he may have played Lilia in game 1 as well. So playing 2 carry-oriented junglers. We saw Zhao Feng in spring play carry-oriented junglers. He is a rookie, and honestly, he does a pretty decent job. Of course, given that Milky Way is also in the mix here, it's hard to really remember that Zhao Feng is there if you're not actually paying attention. You just kind of look at the headlines and look at what the flavor of the week is. Now, Milky Way, of course, has earned that the notoriety. He is the better jungler of the two thus far. But Zhao Feng has played very well. Deserves a lot more credit than he gets. As somebody that actually was, I think, the backup to Nayu, and now Nayu is benched for Rare Atom. I think Zhao Feng has done quite well for himself. Weibo IG. I thought this was going to go 2-1. Yesterday in my prediction video, I indicated, Weibo are struggling to secure objectives, and I feel like IG showed against Ultra Prime that they are a team that cannot be ignored. They have very, very skilled young players as rookies. GLFS looks like a carry-oriented jungler. Zuan in top lane looks solid. He had 2 solo kills into Qingtian in their first series. Neni did not look awful, and frankly, despite the laning numbers being atrocious, he actually led the team in damage in this one. And then Vampire I thought was okay in this one as well. The bot lane duo of IG coming out ahead in gold. So, game 1. So, very different laning phases. All 3 games around 17:45 to 18 minutes versus 13 minutes or so over here. So, very slow early games. In terms of taking the first turret, there were more plays, there were more minutes to be had to make plays, but still. So game 1, Weibo make 4 plays, go to topside twice for breathe. IG only invade the jungle once. Grubs, not all are taken. I think that occurred twice. Yeah, it occurred twice in this series where not all the grubs were taken by these teams. Like I said, very slow, passive early game in terms of objectives like turrets and things. Drake's 2-2 overall. At 17:45, the gold leads were pretty clearly in the favor of Zhao, who clearly had a gold lead over Neni. He had a 1.2k gold lead, 19 CS. But the bot lane duo of On and Vampire over Light and Crisp, 1.1k and 23. So a very even early game. But as the game went along, in the mid to late game, Weibo took over. Weibo were the better team fighting team, and they were able to secure the victory. The one Baron, Weibo were able to end with, essentially, I believe they actually just outright did, 5,800 gold. So a very, very well used Baron. I mean, I don't know, there's another word that's escaping me right now, but very efficient Baron, right? 5,800 gold versus the 1,600 gold averages that we saw out of LNG with their 3 Barons. Game 2, IG would respond. So at 18 minutes, laning phase ended. Weibo, the more active team again, went bot side twice, mid lane, top lane. IG invading the jungle and going mid lane themselves. But despite the advantage for Weibo overall, 700 gold lead for Zhao over Neni, GLFS was ahead of Tarzan quite a bit. Just 200 gold, but 37 CS, which is a massive difference. Kind of goes to show you just how active Tarzan was in the facilitator game, that he's able to pick up gold. But Zhao, in the end, IG secured the objectives. Once again, Weibo not securing objectives in this series, even though they win 2-1. They didn't get a single grub, didn't get the Rift Herald, and didn't get a Drake. As IG went 6-1-5, all 6 grubs, Rift Herald, and 4 Drakes plus Elder, took a Baron, actually 2 Barons, and averaged 25-25 in gold. I believe the first one, they only got 50 gold out of it, so essentially a wash, a useless Baron that, no, actually it was there. Their first Baron was negative 230, or it was plus 230, something like that. Very inefficient Baron the first time for IG. That takes into account 15-25 you automatically get. So kind of just stalled the game out there, but they were in so much control of the bot side of the jungle, it didn't make a difference. They're securing the Drakes, GLFS on the Graves, able to get that soul in the middle of a team fight, and then actually turn that into Baron, Elder, sorry. Zhao did have a solo in game 2 on Neni, so that's something to note, and he does deserve credit for that. Game 3, this was the Breathe show. So 17:45 laning phase ends. Both teams making a couple plays. IG going bot lane twice to try and get On and Vampire in a good spot, but it didn't really matter much. The gold was essentially even at the end of laning phase. But the 2 leads were in solo lanes for Weibo. 1.3k for Breathe, 1k for Zhao. And IG just could not match that as the game went along. The Camille for Breathe making a massive difference in team fights. And then Zhao on the LeBlanc, jumping in there with, of course, his assassin-like abilities with LeBlanc. And secure kills. So those 2, the solo laners, making the difference in the end. Grubs 3-1 in favor of Weibo. They took the Rift Herald. Drake's 3-2. Once again, not a ton of dominance out of Drake's for Weibo. That's something that I'm going to continue to monitor, see if Tarzan and Xiaohu can improve that. If I recall last season, the Tarzan and owner situation with LNG not getting Drakes and people blaming Tarzan. Come to find out, Scout was the shot caller. Xiaohu is not the shot caller for LNG, at least he wasn't with RNG. So I doubt he is with LNG. I wonder who is making those shot calls. Xiaohu did not make the shot calling for RNG. So, as far as Weibo is concerned, I doubt he's making the shot calls for Weibo, but I mean, I don't listen to comps, so I'm not sure. I just know historically, both he and Tarzan have not on other teams. A 50 goal power play for Weibo in Game 3, and then they would end without a Baron. Totals from this series, Breathe also had a solo kill in Game 3, and I think it was an important one, if I recall, to secure an objective. But laning phase, total plays, 10 for Weibo, 7 for IG. Laning phase, a 367 gold lead, 12 CS for Breathe, 967 and 13 CS for Xiaohu. So those two very dominant over their lane opponents, Xiaohu especially over Nene. And then On and Vampire had 300 gold on average over Light and Crisp, which is something to note because Light and Crisp are probably a top 10 bot lane at this point. Last year they were much better in summer, but right now I'd probably consider them top 10 in the world. Top 25% really, roughly. Grubs 9-4 in favor of IG, but Weibo took both 2 of 3 Rift Heralds. Drake's 11-5 in favor of IG. Something to note when Weibo has to play tougher teams, maybe Nip again later on in this. It's not a maybe, they'll have to in the double round robin. And if they don't square that away, Nip will probably beat them again just with sheer macro. Barons, Weibo averaging 29.58 over 2 Barons. IG 25-25. Xiaohu 10-4-23 with a solo kill, had 29% of damage. Light 19-3 and 16 had the best KDA, and Breathe had a solo as well. Nene 10-5-9, 28% of damage in the loss. I thought Nene did quite well given that he was so far behind in the laning phase. Zuan not doing as well into Breathe as he did to Qingtian, but there is a diffy between those two top laners as opponents. And I thought the bot lane duo of IG did quite well. GLFS had some nice moments. And Weibo are continuing to get better. So that's a thing. Preview for tomorrow, we have Anyone's Legend Ultra Prime. AL have not played yet. Ultra Prime lost to beat IG 2-1. Last time they played, Anyone's Legend won 2-1. 7 of the 10 starters are the same. Both teams have different top laners. In that one, it was Harry versus Decade. Now it is Ale for Anyone's Legend versus Qingtian for Ultra Prime. And then Ultra Prime have Nikat at support instead of Zhui. So Krako, Shanks, Hope went 36, 17, and 68 with 75% of damage in the win. Hacker, Yukai, Doggo, 25, 22, and 51 with 70% of damage in the loss. Thunder Talk FPX. This one is significant. Group A matchup, if I recall, because I think that's JDG, Thunder Talk FPX, EDG. And the second spot is up for grabs between Thunder Talk FPX and EDG as far as I'm concerned, with the way their rosters are, if teams actually properly draft against FPX and take Milky Way out of the game. So last time they played, FPX won 2-1. All 10 starters are the same. Zhao Laohu, a very impactful player with over 800 DPM in that one. Nearly double the amount of DPM as Hoya. 9, 12, and 18, 27% of damage in the win. Hoya, 8, 9, 13, 17% of damage in the loss. So it kind of even gives you a vibe based on KDA. Zhao Laohu may have dealt a ton more damage, but he also died a little bit more because he was much more aggressive, finding ways to impact the game, where Hoya, more so of a weak side top laner in general. That matchup is contested. Milky Way is better than Bechuan. Zhao Laohu is probably better than Hoya, but I would take UCal over Care. 1XN and Chow Chow versus Duck Diamond Life. You probably give that to FPX as well. So it is slightly favored, but I think it could go either way. That series, it will be a close one, better than that one. So that's a thing. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube supporter. And hope to see you again tomorrow.